Hello, today I am bringing you a great recipe from Grant Bakes. Grant Bakes is also a YouTube channel that bakes a lot of great sourdough recipes, and I really recommend this recipe. So here's Grant.
Hey everyone at A Knead to Bake, thank you so much for letting me come on and share my sourdough Nutella rolls recipe with you. These Nutella rolls were inspired by a delicious dessert pizza that I tried at my favorite Neapolitan pizza place. The dough is a beautifully smooth, enriched dough made from sourdough starter. The filling is made from the always delicious Nutella chocolate hazelnut spread. Then the rolls are baked and topped with a deliciously luxurious icing made from mascarpone cheese. Here's how I make them. For the starter, you need 200 grams of active sourdough starter for this recipe. I usually start out in the evening. I take 25 grams of leftover sourdough starter and I feed that 100 grams of water and 100 grams of bread flour. I just mix all of that together until it's well combined, and the starter will be ready to use and doubled in size in 6 to 8 hours. This is why I usually do it in the evening, and the starter is ready the next morning. The next day, when the starter has doubled in size, it's time to mix the dough. Into the mixing bowl of my stand mixer, I add 150 grams of whole milk, 50 grams of brown sugar, 6 grams of salt, 1 egg, or about 50 grams of egg, then 200 grams of that active sourdough starter. I mix all of that up in the bowl just to break up the egg and dissolve the starter into the liquid. Then into that same bowl, I add 400 grams of bread flour and 75 grams of softened butter. You can use chunks of softened butter, or you can just use melted butter for this recipe. I've done it both ways, and both ways work fine. Once that's all in the bowl, I set the stand mixer to a medium speed, and I let it go for about 10 to 15 minutes until the dough is really well developed. You should end up with a smooth ball of dough that's a little bit tacky to the touch. Then I take the dough out of the bowl, onto the counter, and I shape it into a tight ball. Then I put it back in the mixing bowl, cover it up, and I let it rise until it's roughly doubled in size. This usually takes about 4 to 6 hours at room temperature, but it could take longer for you if your kitchen's a little bit colder. Once the dough has doubled in size, I actually like to move it into the fridge so it can firm up for about 30 minutes. The dough will be a lot easier to roll out with a rolling pin if it's a little bit firmer. So while the dough is in the fridge, I prepare the Nutella filling. All this is 200 grams of Nutella or chocolate hazelnut spread. Take 200 grams out into a separate bowl and put it in the microwave for about 20 to 30 seconds. This will get it just warm enough and it'll be really easy to spread onto the dough. Once the dough is chilled for 30 minutes, I take it out of the fridge and put it onto a lightly floured counter, and I flatten it into a disc with my hands. Then I roll the dough out with a rolling pin to make a rectangle of about 18 by 12 inches. But to be honest, I never really measure out the rectangle. I just roll it until it's a nice thin rectangle. Then I spread the Nutella filling on top of the dough in a really thin layer, making sure it reaches all the way to the edges. 200 grams of Nutella seems to be the right amount for me, but if it looks like your dough needs a little bit more spread, just go ahead and put more Nutella on top. It won't hurt anything. Then this is where I usually start rolling up the dough, just Nutella, a simple filling. But if you want bonus points, I think a really good addition here would be chopped toasted hazelnuts, maybe about 100 grams. That would add a really delicious crunch, and hazelnuts obviously go perfect with Nutella since it's made from hazelnuts and chocolate. So if you want bonus points on this, add hazelnuts. I think it would add an amazing crunch. Either way, nuts or no nuts, go ahead and roll up the dough. I like to start rolling on the far end of the longer edge, and I roll it towards myself, rolling up the dough into a nice tight log. When the dough is all rolled up, I press the seam down a little bit just to seal it, and then I slice the dough into 9 equally sized pieces with a serrated bread knife. I find that 9 Nutella rolls for this recipe fit perfectly inside a 9 by 9 inch square pan. So I grease the pan with butter and carefully arrange the rolls 1 by 1 in the pan, or 3 by 3. Now it's time to let these rolls proof. For proofing, you've got 2 options. You can do a room temperature proof and bake the same day, or you can do a cold proof overnight in the fridge and bake the next day. For the room temperature proof, go ahead and cover these up with plastic wrap and let them rise until they've doubled in size. This could take another 4, maybe even 6 hours until they're fully doubled, and then you can bake them. But if you want to do what I do, go with the cold proof. I just take the rolls just as they are right now, cover them up, and move them directly to the fridge. This way I can bake them anytime I want the next day. Straight from the fridge, cold. With this cold proof, they won't double in size visibly, but you can still bake them the next day anytime you want with no problem at all. I've done it a bunch of times and they turn out great. So when the rolls are proofed and I'm ready to bake, I preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. Then I slide the rolls into the middle rack of the oven and I bake them for 40 to 45 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure you bake these rolls until they're golden brown and the middles are fully cooked through. Unless you like doughy, undercooked sweet rolls, try to bake these till they have an internal temperature of 190 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I usually let these rolls cool in the pan for about 30 minutes while I'm making the icing. And this works perfectly because you don't want to put this icing on hot rolls anyway. It's just gonna melt off and pool on the sides, and the icing might even become greasy since it's got mascarpone cheese inside. So go ahead and wait till these rolls cool. While they're cooling, make your icing. Into a mixing bowl, I put 60 grams of whole milk, 1 teaspoon or about 4 grams of vanilla extract, 240 grams of powdered sugar, which is about 2 cups, and 226 grams or 8 ounces of mascarpone cheese. I usually heat this up in the microwave for about 20 to 30 seconds, just so it's loose and I can mix it easily in with the icing. Then I whisk all of these ingredients together in the same bowl until it forms a luxuriously smooth, sweet and tangy icing. Way better than cream cheese frosting. Once the rolls have finally cooled, I pour about half of the icing on top and spread it over the rolls with a plastic spatula. Then I add a little more icing as needed. This might be a little bit too much icing for these rolls, but it's better to have a little too much than not enough. Of course, you can wait and have these rolls later once they've had a chance to cool, but it's much better to enjoy them warm. Either way, I hope you like this recipe.
So this is a great bread. It is delicious. It is super delicious inside. It's rich for the Nutella filling, but the mascarpone icing makes it perfect. When you start biting and you find those nuts, it just makes it better. It's so good and it's a great recipe. So I'm gonna really encourage you to make this bread, and if you wanna follow and look more information about Grant, you can go to the description of this video, and I'm gonna leave the links there of his YouTube channel and his website, so that you can get to know him more and check out his recipes. And you know what? Thank you for watching this video. Please, if you like this video, please like it and share it. And I will see you on the next video.